Hello everyone, please welcome Fredrik from Plansdor.
Hey guys.
Hey.
Okay, this is a cozy small group. I hope there are some gaming enthusiasts here. It's quite a brief presentation, and it's mostly about my experience in gaming. So I'm not sure we will do a 5-minute Q&A probably afterwards. But if there are like important questions early on, just go ahead and scream or something. So okay. The topic today is collaborative gaming, esports, and the impact for the games industry. And I used to be a professional gamer. From around 2000 to maybe 2006, I was traveling the world playing StarCraft 1. Not the second one, the first one. This is the nerdy me, version 1.0. And I've been to Korea a couple times, actually 4 times in total, for the World Cyber Games and other tournaments. And I've seen how the eSport began in Korea prior to other countries. And it was amazing to see people watching young nerds playing games, when in Europe it was still a controversy whether or not shooters and strategy games turn people into murderers. So we were 10 years behind in technology and also in the gaming scene itself. So after that, I turned poker professional, which a lot of StarCraft players actually did. So there's a link as well. People playing cards and people playing games, it's actually the same game theoretically underlying mechanisms that are working there. So some of the smartest StarCraft players became awesome poker players, and it's interesting for me to see the connections between those things, because they don't seem to be there if you haven't played those games. And afterwards I came back to gaming and became a gaming entrepreneur. Basically my co-founder did the operational work, and I did more of the strategical part, but later on I will talk more about that. So I was born and raised in Germany, Berlin, but I would consider myself a global person, no nationalities in my head. The pro gaming part started actually when I was maybe 6 years old with Super Mario on the Nintendo Entertainment System, and I was hooked from the first day. You all guys know Mario Kart and that stuff later on, but I never really stopped gaming. And now I'm 31, and for me it was so obvious back then already, and everybody who was involved in esports early on, that gaming will be huge, and that all the people at my age that were somewhat interested in games, they never really stopped playing. Like, they don't have time to play that much, but they're big game enthusiasts still. So the early beginnings, I would consider them the dark ages. And because I was playing the ladder in StarCraft, I said climbing the ladder, because we had a small market situation. There were not that many professional games, but games in general, the market itself wasn't that big. The industry wasn't that big. There was not much recognition at all for gamers. Like, nerd was back then something really, really mean in a way. Now it's cool, but back then it was really mean. And this gaming thing was like, this internet thing, people didn't believe it would work. That was like 99, like before the bubble in Germany and Europe, we were very behind the curve. So I was like the only person in my class using the internet, and we had the AOL connection with 2 browsers, and the system would crash. So I would try to play StarCraft, but it would crash so often. So that was the beginning. The whole esports situation, the gaming situation, the gamers, the whole thing was undercapitalized. And we, as I mentioned, were fighting prejudice. People believed that somebody who would play a game would not have friends, not have social skills, probably looks like somebody who would never get laid. And if they played too long, they would turn into this psychopath who would kill people because they didn't have any feelings anymore. And to a certain extent, some people might turn into games that have that behavior, same as maybe some people that are aggressive turn to alcohol. But obviously nowadays the studies show it's complete bullshit, and also that games can even enhance neurological functions. And there's a Harvard study that came out last year that gamers actually playing strategy games or other games, they improve their IQ. So not hugely, but playing games helps developing children to improve their brain capacities. And yeah, we were a group of enthusiasts because people, my parents, some of my friends and society were telling me I was an idiot playing games, and there was just time being lost. So it wasn't easy early on. But in 2003, I became vice champion in StarCraft in Korea. That's, to my knowledge, still the best result any foreigner ever had in the World Cyber Games to this day. And I'm still probably record holder in World Cyber Games attendees over the years. I had 5 times. I think there are not many people that have that to this day. So all that hours spent playing games and people telling me I'm a huge nerd, I could actually turn that into something positive, because I was one of the first of the early on eSport people. We didn't know there was an industry behind it, or that the industry would be there while we played, but we knew there would be something coming because it was so addictive in a positive way, and there were so many smart people playing games as well, and it has such strategic depth that I couldn't see people turning to chess anymore. I thought this was the new chess, just quicker and more interesting. So yeah, that was early 2000s, 99 I started, and by 2003 I was one of the best in the world. Those pictures are from Korea, and actually that year Germany became world champion in front of Korea in gaming disciplines. Like, we won a few bronze, silver and gold medals. I still think this is our best result today, but it was very early on. Like, for me that was $10,000 and I was still in school doing the Abitur. So yeah, that was amazing to me. And I could afford through a sponsor, I got like 200 or 300 euros per month. That was enough to pay half of my rent, the other part my girlfriend paid. So for me that was amazing that through a game I could support myself and show my parents that there's something. And then we were in news outlets like the New York Times Germany back then, and Computerbildspiele and stuff like that. So the guys that told me I'm a nerd, and the girls, they were actually asking how I did it and were interested in gaming all of a sudden. So I could see the shift. And I remember I saw a documentary when I was younger about how the future would look like from the 70s. It was a flashback thing. And they thought like you could talk with the TV, which basically is now even possible to the phone. So they didn't think far ahead in technology, but they thought in society we would only work 20 hours and it would all be easy and everybody would be friends. So people usually underestimate what technology can do and over-exaggerate how quickly societies change. So even though we knew that gaming would come and would conquer, we didn't think it would take that long. And I think we're finally getting there. So the rise of the nerds, basically.
Hooray.
Yeah, so Big Bang Theory nowadays, I know, like all the girls I know that I'm friends with, they like Big Bang Theory. That wasn't clear to me when the series started. The nerdy image becomes more and more of a thing. I mean, the hipster and the nerd, they're kind of like merging in a way, you know? Having this beard and looking like you don't care is now the trend thing. And being smart and being a developer is not as looked down upon. Nowadays it's more something I think that gets a lot more recognition, and I think because I do believe the guys that create games and create software and platforms are artists in a way, that they should get all that recognition, because it can change the world for the better, or with some crappy programs for the worse, but it's powerful. So nowadays, I do believe esports and gaming is exploding. And people are actually paying money to get a ticket to go to a live arena and watch people play computer games. So people are paying to watch nerds these days. And it's becoming acceleratingly, quickly bigger and bigger. And esports, from what I heard, is the only non-traditional sport that's not on TV that rose up to the ranks, and that quickly. If you think about football, basketball, and all these games, they took hundreds of years to become successful. And with gaming, we did the same in maybe 20 years when you consider esports. Gaming itself is older, but esports, I would say, 15 to 20 years old. So nowadays, we do have stars. That was already the case in Korea back then, but not to the extent that we have it right now. And it's, I think it's just the beginning. When you think about the 50s, 60s in soccer, people had to have a job because they didn't get paid a lot, and Germany became world champion, and I think the people, they couldn't retire, they maybe got a year's worth salary or something. Nowadays, some of the best players, they can make more than a living, they can become millionaires in a year. So a little bit about the esport numbers. I think most of you know some of it, and I'm not sure about the time, so I will throw something in, and maybe we can talk later about it more. So what we see here is from my early beginnings. I stole that one, as you can see down there, until 2014, how the total annual prizes, the largest tournament prize pool, and tournaments, how they interconnect. And we can clearly see there were some years that was slowly growing and then was going backwards a little bit. But as you can see, the last couple of years, there's a lot of interesting things happen with all these numbers. The amount of tournaments, the prize pool, and the largest prize pool. So this is also connected, but this is an example about Valve, the international Dota 2 tournament, how the prize pool changed over just a few years. And interestingly enough, it's not only about the companies contributing prize money or sponsors, but the fans contribute. Like in-game purchases, part of that goes into the prize pool, and that's why they had almost 11 and 17 million in the last couple years. And those teams are 5-on-5 matches. So basically the first team, they all become millionaires within one tournament. And that is probably more than most sports do offer these days. And that happens so quickly with one game, and there are more than one game out there, and there are more than one tournament out there. More than one tournament out there. So those are Dota stats, but there are other games, and I think those numbers in a few years will be irrelevant because they're small then. But you can see that some of these players, especially China on the rise, they can make more than a living out of it, and through sponsorships, and now they Twitch. You don't need to be one of these guys to make a lot of money per month. You can, nowadays over Twitch and YouTube, you can actually do it being entertaining. You don't need to be the best player anymore. And that's offering a lot of options to a lot of players as well. So I wanted to talk a little bit about collaborative gaming as well. Time is running a little bit out of time. So basically, not everybody wants to be an esport enthusiast, like playing. Maybe you want to watch, but you still enjoy playing yourself, even though it's not professional. So that's how my partner and I came up with the idea how we can improve what we didn't have when we started out. Basically, he's a great designer and he worked for Giga, so I was lucky with my clan back then that I had somebody who would build a great website, but most people don't have that luxury. So I'm gonna show a short video and then we're almost done.
Web, the professional website builder and hosting service. No installation or prior knowledge required. Your clan page is up in under a minute. Choose your name, logo and design. Programming skills are not needed. Welcome to your own clan page. Your home is a mosaic page and built from gadgets. They can be placed and resized using drag and drop. The content adjusts automatically. Whether you play with some close friends or command a raid-class MMO guild, your site is always up to your needs. Numerous apps allow you to expand page by page. The design can be customized easily. There is no line of code between you and your creative ambition. Select the colors, styles, and graphics you want. A huge stock of ready-to-use designs let you jump in at once. Clansweb's social hub makes it easy to stay in touch with your crew or keep track of clan events. Always at your command. Choose your way to socialize, share some parts of your gaming life, or enjoy privacy among your clanmates. All this is just a small part of Clansweb. It's powerful, works on all devices, and is at your service. Clansweb, the gamer's home.
Yeah, so basically that's what we thought would improve the scene, helping others to get their own homepages for their teams, clans, guilds, to enable them to have a more social experience within their game and to get a quick start into their esports career if they want to have one. But if not, they can still have their own homepage and enjoy themselves with their friends more within the games. So let's see if I can switch back. Yep. So what's next? The future of gaming. I do believe gaming won't be the same within a few years. It will take time until some of the newer technologies will be mainstream from the price point perspective, but also until we have the applications that really interest the people that will have to buy these things. Because now it's more of an enthusiast thing, same with gaming when I was younger, but I do think there will be applications that will affect millions or probably billions of people in the future. So you probably heard of these things: Oculus Rift, Google Magic Leap, and Microsoft HoloLens. It's about virtual and augmented realities, and it's still in its early stages. But I do remember in Berlin, 15 years ago, we had a cyberspace PC cafe, which unfortunately didn't open for too long. The machines were very expensive, I think around 100,000 euros, Deutsche Mark back then. So super expensive, and I had one of the version 0 point something on my head, and I was completely immersed back then, and it was 2D robots fighting 2D robots, and you couldn't move a little bit within the game, and you had something to shoot. But that was 15 years ago, and I always wondered why these things disappeared and never came back, because I thought it was super interesting to see what we could do with this. And I'm very happy that Oculus turned up through Kickstarter and then later on got bought by Facebook. So they do have the necessary money to take the time to develop stuff that will probably work for a lot of people. And through Facebook they have the outlet to get there. That is more the virtual reality part, but I do believe that gaming will change for the better, but in a way that we cannot even imagine. And I think with Facebook there's a connection, like say shopping, whether it's clothes or food. I think you will just grab it in your virtual reality and it will be delivered to your door within maybe an hour back then. So that stuff is very interesting, but also the augmented reality part is very interesting. With Magic Leap and Google in the back, You have a lot of money to build these things. And if you have seen the YouTube video of how it works, it's amazing that you can basically, within a room, it's more like Star Wars, you can have your hologram in the middle of the room and it looks way better than what they had in Star Wars. And it's already there. It's not there for the consumer market yet, but they will get there within a few years. And then you can open your emails with a hand gesture, or play with your sons or daughter Minecraft in your room, and it will be animated. And this is the stuff people come up with in the early beginnings. So there will be use cases that we cannot even imagine. And I think that, combined with the possibilities of education and a lot of bright minds out there that run with stuff, say Counter-Strike was developed out of the community from Half-Life, and stuff like other games are built upon engines. So a lot of smart developers will run with this and figure stuff out that we cannot even think about right now. And I think this will change the face of gaming in the future. And I'm not sure what kind of use cases we will have for esports, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be amazing. So yeah, I think that is what I wanted to talk about. Let the games begin.
Thank you, Fredrik, for an interesting story. Does someone have questions?